Welcome back to the Dimer Sports Betting Podcast, Tuesday, December 2nd here. I am your host, Greg, joined by my valiant co-host, Dave, who might have to carry us this show. I'm a little under the weather. Got the flu bug running through the household right now, so bear with me, folks at home. Dave, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. Hope you had a good holiday, as hopefully everybody did. All of our listeners, all of our viewers, all of our Dimers followers. Hope it was a good one. Football was great, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was good sports on all weekend. It was a great weekend to be with family and play some bets along the way. We will cover everything we cover every single week on this show. We'll take some takeaways from week 13. We will give you an early preview of week 14. We've got the Hero World Challenge back in the PGA world. NBA King of the Court targets, as we always do on our Tuesday episodes, and our fantasy waiver wire as we get closer to the fantasy football playoffs. I got to be honest, I was thinking about calling in sick from this episode, seeing if I could have you run it solo. But Dave, there's such a good college basketball slate on Tuesday night. I insisted that we power through this together, so my college corner will make its return as well. But first, let's start with a look back at last week, some hits from the week that you should have bet.
Should have bet that.
Through Thanksgiving, it was looking like underdogs were just going to win outright every single game on the NFL card, and luckily a couple of them were in our best bets.
Yeah, they were absolutely rolling. We didn't really have any outright value in the Packers, Lions, or the the Eagles, Bears game, as we talked about, but we did have a best bet in Bengals, Ravens. We had a best bet in Cowboys, Chiefs. Sorry, I was going to say Cowboys, Eagles. Both were on the dogs to cover. Both of them did. Both of them won outright. So it was a very good, productive Thanksgiving for the Dimers model from game line perspective. Also, those would have been the early spread values in the week that we always talk about, which we didn't last week since it was a single show. So that has been a very successful segment the last few weeks as well. ×2 on the first TD round robin was a little nice. Jalen Warren. And why am I blanking on the other one right now? I can't think of it right now. We did get ×2 though. Too many bets this weekend flew through my head. But I can't believe we didn't get 3 with Travis Etienne. I don't know what happened to the ground game in that game. They finally got close and it was 2 with the score. So could have been a nice 3 TD hit in that one. But we got ×2. So that's our second in the last 3 weeks, I believe. So finding maybe a little bit of momentum on the round robin there. And the division winners we talked about last week made a little bit of moves. The Jags actually took first place, and we said that might come down to who wins the head-to-head matchups down the stretch. Bears won, so did the Packers, so that's held even, but the Bears climbed a little bit tighter to the win. And Panthers also picked up a dub, but so did the Bucs, so they stay within a half game. And that little round robin of plus money division winners from just last week is in a very good spot down the home stretch. So got a lot more to look forward to. Got a few more value bets to dig in today, and hopefully start off the next run of this segment for next week.
It does feel like this league is wide open. Teams like the Panthers and Bears have really, claimed their stake in being legitimate contender types, at least amongst their divisions. And as we get closer to the playoffs, it's going to be fun to hold some of those tickets we talked about in previous weeks. Should be fun. Make sure you get Dimers Pro while you can, folks. Promo code podcast gets you 50% off your first purchase of Dimers Pro. You'll want to take advantage of that as we get closer to the NFL playoffs. All right. For now, we are going to talk some early week 14 against the spread picks.
The early edge.
On a little run here, 5-0 on best bets, 4-1 on early week looks going back to week 11. Let's keep the momentum rolling.
Yep. So I did just remember it was Devin Achane who scored that other first touchdown. So let me just finish that thought there. Achane and Warren on that one. So yeah, pretty nice little run here. Best bets are looking good. Titans plus 4.5 is actually what's going to start us off this week. And it's a bit of an interesting one. I know it's the Titans. It's plus 4.5. Huge probability here though. Huge edge. Sometimes this means there's something the model hasn't totally factored in early week predictions, and it will adjust with the midweek real-time updates. However, sometimes it just means it's a very good spot by the model, And it's one that we saw a couple weeks ago with Cleveland, with the Browns in Shedeur Sanders' first start. It was about 62 or 63% probability, I believe. We said, we acknowledged it, but we said we're going to hold off given that it was his first start. Ended up cashing anyway. Panned out versus the Raiders, kind of further proving the point that we're going to talk about here is that bad teams can almost always cover against other bad teams. It's worth noting that this is plus 3.5 at almost even money on FanDuel. So partly why we are seeing such a high probability here is that we're getting the extra point. It's outside of another key number, so you're getting a little bit wider of a buffer. And honestly, there's not a lot of things that 4.5 would cover that 3.5 would not. Except for basically just the plus 4 points, which isn't the most common final score. So could be worth a look at the plus 3.5 and the almost even money. Our final projected score is within a field goal. So that would technically cash, just it's going to be at a lower probability, probably somewhere around 54, 56%, if I were to guess. So over under in this game is 33.5, might be the lowest we've seen all year, which, implies a long day for both of these offenses. The Titans are bad. We know this, cruising for the number one pick again, just one win this season. And it took every little bit of miracle magic to get it against the Cardinals. Ironically, the game that cost me my survivor run, but they've shown some stuff, to simplify it. They've shown a little bit of things, especially lately. Lost by 3 to the Texans and their elite defense. They hung in there with 6 points versus Seattle as 2 touchdown underdogs in that game. Both of those are in the past 3 weeks. I don't know if it's there's a lot to take away from that as like a Titans changing attitudes or anything, but they're hanging in there against very good defenses, and that's kind of something we're seeing here again. They're getting a very good defense. The worst overall team of those 3 out of the Seahawks, Texans, and Browns here. This would be the worst opponent of the 3 they face. I think that's objectively correct. And these Browns put up 8 points this past week versus the 49ers. So the Shedeur Sanders Browns look like there's something going on there. Maybe positively, they crushed the Raiders, but only 8 points this past week. It's not like they're looking like an entirely transformed franchise or anything. Titans have looked much better against the run lately, which is probably going to be pretty key in this game since our passing projections for the Browns are pretty bleak. Harold Fannin leading the way at 40 yards. You got Judy at 38, Tillman at 36. None of them crack 30% for an anytime touchdown. So you're going to imagine this game's probably going to go through Quinshon Judkins as much as possible. Titans, like I said, though, have looked a little better against the run lately, holding the Jags to 70 total yards on the ground, holding the Texans to 75 on the ground. Could be well-timed because Quinshon Judkins has not hit a tough spot, but only one game over 3.5 yards per carry in his past 4 after having some pretty impressive breakout games earlier this season. Only a couple touchdowns. I think they came in the same game, I believe. Over the past 5 weeks. So not exactly the output that you would like to see for a team coming into what should be a very good matchup on paper against the Titans rushing defense. Until recently, very exploitable on the ground. Titans offense, not a lot to write home about. It's a really bad backfield, a really uninspiring wide receiver core. Even with Calvin Ridley here, it was just not a wide receiver room that you're like, these are guys who are going to put up points. These are 100-yard ceiling guys. Just not the case. Kamiri TK might have better production on kick returns that he does as an offensive pass catcher in this in the current form of this team. So, yeah, going to be a long day for both teams, but I think you have a couple paths here for the Titans to actually cover in this, given the situation, if anything.
Yeah, I look, I think the Titans are terrible. I think the Browns are very bad. And I think the only hope of them avoiding terrible was a Shedeur Sanders breakout that doesn't appear to be coming. I was looking through this because I had Red Zone on most of the day on this weekend. And the Browns had one scoring drive in that 26-8 loss. I was like, how did they even get in position? Because anytime I checked in with that game, they were nowhere near scoring range. They ran the ball 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 consecutive times. and then a 34-yard touchdown pass where I'm assuming the box was entirely loaded because they just ran the ball 9 consecutive times. Like they aren't exactly opening the playbook up with Shedeur Sanders. It hasn't really gone well. If you are an emotional narrative driven better, like I can be from time to time, I look for spots that might potentially get somebody up. Cam Ward versus Shedeur Sanders. How does the number 1 pick approach that game? Is he a little more juiced up against a guy from his draft class that fell super far that people thought maybe should have gone first overall in the draft? And clearly NFL teams didn't feel the same way. I would be interested in backing Cam Ward in this type of spot. Catching 4.5 points, that is something I think for the first time in months will probably get him in the locker room a little juiced up for it. And like you said, bad teams can cover against bad teams all the time. This game qualifies with both.
Yeah. Cam Ward. I like a little Cam Ward, Tyjae Spears connection in this. Tyjae Spears has been go-to as a pass catcher out of the backfield. He's hit his over on receiving yards every single game since his first game back from injury. He's got value in our model to score a pair, 5.9%, but plus 4,000 on Bet365. And like, there's no reason a running back couldn't score a pair of touchdowns down in the red zone. Not a lot of angles I think you're going to love. If you want to fade the Titans, I would probably just bet on Myles Garrett to have like 5 or 6 sacks and get closer to his goal of 25. But even just like when you're looking at how points will be scored in this game, last point I'm going to make on this game is that if you look at our TD probabilities, or rather even just the TD odds, you have Quinshon Judkins at minus 115. We do have him over 50%. And then the Browns' next highest TD scorer by odds is Harold Fannin at plus 300. So kind of hard to run away with almost a touchdown spread, or at least almost a 2 field goal spread with your guys just simply not scoring points. So should be a close game. Realistically for the Titans, should be low scoring, should be a bad game, but not a game I'd be looking to bet on. But the model's got the value, had to call it out early in the week. If it's still there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll probably still bet it.
Yeah.
Not going to jump on it now, though. No reason.
No. Those sometimes the ugliest games are the games you get the most value, and catch 4.5 with Cam Ward against Shedeur Sanders. I think that's something that qualifies. Next up is, I think they've become my favorite team to bet this year. It feels like they're in our models projections every single week, showing value compared to where the sports books marked them. It's the Bears plus 6.5. This is a rivalry game against the Packers, but good Lord, the Packers have not been lighting it up lately. This is a game with divisional title implications, of course, but you're giving us almost a touchdown for the team atop the division right now. I don't get this line, Dave.
I don't. This is like the 3rd time I think we've said this with the Bears. We said it last week with the Eagles. The Dimers model didn't have any value, but we said, I don't understand why they would be this much of an underdog with the way they're playing, the way the other team is playing, and we're seeing it again. Yeah, I get it. It's a division game. It's in Green Bay. The Packers defense is very, very good, but like the Bears just keep finding ways to win. They're finding ways to hang in the games that they're not, which are very rare. The Bears feel like they're coming off the bigger upset, have to be riding with all the momentum. I think it's just such a really interesting number for me. And it's one that I love here for the Bears. The model loves it with a high value spot, 5% edge, minus 108, good odds on a spread here. Bears, the whole thing just sets up for an all-timer. Playoff atmosphere here. Winner is going to move into first in the division. Because the Bears will drop to that'll be a half game difference for the Bears if they lose, but a 1.5 game advantage if they win. And that's huge coming down the stretch run. They'll probably be favored in the division if they win this game. So might be your last chance to get them at some good plus money odds as far as that's concerned. But anyway, Bears just shut down the Eagles on Black Friday, like pretty much all the way around. 56 rushing yards for Barkley, another awful game for him. About half of A.J. Brown's 130-yard, 2-touchdown production came in garbage time, including one of those touchdowns. And realistically, that was all on the backs of not the defense, but the Bears' running game that just took over this game. Caleb Williams didn't have to do anything. Leading receivers were Luther Burden with like 38 yards, Cole Kmet 35, something like that. Caleb Williams just chilled, handed the ball off to the 2-headed backfield, and they dominated. Both of them went for 125 and a touchdown. Really didn't expect that at all. We've talked about how Monangai is going to take Swift's job. And while that would normally be a performance that would, Swift just matched it with his own. So expect to see them both down the stretch here all season long. Probably going to be some really interesting deployments of this backfield in the playoffs, especially with Ben Johnson and those trick plays. We'll note it was again all Kyle Monangai in the red zone. 4 carries to just 1 for Swift. Swift did convert his to a touchdown, but Monangai has simply had all of the red zone looks over the past few weeks, even when both of them are being productive. Just food for thought. More likely to get multi-touchdown games if you're getting the red zone looks. So something to keep in mind from Monangai down the stretch here. We'll say the Packers have been much better against the run than Philly. So I don't really think we'll see this type of performance again. Projecting 41 and 46 yards for the two backs, but both over a 40% TD probability for each, which is pretty notable. So, pretty much split there. Not really going to know volume-wise what to expect because both are shining and seeing their respective work as both the 1A and 1B here, but think it could be another good game for Monangai, if anything, as long as they're down in the red zone. Packers side, Christian Watson firmly moving up the wide receiver pecking order here since he's come back, getting more and more deep looks. He won King of the End Zone on Thanksgiving with a 51-yard touchdown. I don't know why I should have gone with him. I had him in our touchdown parlay, and he was the longest odds. He would have been a good bet for that, but I went with JMO. Anyway, 34% to score for Watson in this one compared to 30% for Dobbs, just 24% for Dontavian Wicks, who did just have a good game. But Christian Watson is getting all of the targets, 26 over the past 4 weeks, leading the team compared to just 21 for Dobbs and 19 for Wicks. Just a little hard to fade really this entire Bears team with what we're seeing right now. And the Packers offense is just so kind of piecemeal. It seems like they're kind of putting together the game plan as things go along. If it's not Josh Jacobs, it's really whoever is getting the look on that particular drive. And Josh Jacobs looked pretty good in his return against the Lions. Nothing crazy, 17 touches for 83 yards. It's completely phased out Emmanuel Wilson, so it's going to be back to just Josh Jacobs in this one. But if the Bears can at all do what they did against Saquon Barkley, against Josh Jacobs in this one, they could be leading this game for most of it for all we know.
Yeah, I will just take the Bears plus 6.5 against almost anybody. I wish it was 7, and I think keep an eye on it. The one thing I would say, just to devil's advocate myself here, this is the first time these two teams are playing this year. We don't exactly know what the rivalry is going to look like with the Ben Johnson Bears versus the Packers. Remember, he made all those headlines when he took the job by calling out the Packers head coach and saying, I wanted to stay in the division to get a chance to beat him twice. I think there is some legitimate bad blood here. I think the Packers at home are a very tough team to beat. However, they haven't fared spectacularly at home this year. They lost back-to-back games against Carolina and Philadelphia in 2 of their last 3 home games. So the last month, they've only beaten Minnesota at home as Minnesota juggled terrible quarterbacks. I just think the Bears are a good football team. I think they're on top of this division for a reason. I think they're getting better and better and more confidence as their youth sort of blossoms in this system. A rivalry game like this, historically, to me, screams it's going to be a gauntlet, a battle back and forth, maybe comes down to late game execution and getting a touchdown with a team that I think is equal or better than the Packers caliber, even on the road, is interesting to me. I do want to ask you this, too. I don't know if you have the model up on the side beyond this screenshot, but is there any value on the total in this game?
Let me check. I just clicked to our next game. Best bets. No, 50-50 at 44.5.
Interesting. I do want to throw this out just from a trends perspective. The under or a push has hit on the total in every Packers home game this year. 5 unders and 1 push 0 overs in 6 home games. So for me, mentally, I think the game script here is a low-scoring dog rivalry game, probably in cold weather. I lean to the Bears, and I lean to the under personally here.
Nice. Interesting look there. You were spot on with the trend last week. I mean, I said I was fading it, the Chiefs Cowboys magic trend. You held strong and it was correct. So I think Greg's got the hot hand for the trends right now. So it's something to look at for sure.
All right, and our
maybe.
last pick here is the team the Bears just went toe-to-toe with for their statement victory. Philly, -2.5, a bounce-back spot against the Chargers. I already love this spot under a field goal. High probability, good edge here as well. What do you see, Dave?
Yeah, I agree. We don't see a lot of Eagles value in the model, partly because the model tends to lean underdog spread value a little bit more often than not. And just not a team, the more publicly bet teams, I think sometimes you don't see them as often because the odds aren't as favorable and hence no value. However, we've got them here, and normally not a team I would want to be tailing right now. I wouldn't really want a piece of the Eagles after we've seen the last couple of weeks, but situationally, I don't think this spot could be much better for them unless they were playing an outright terrible team. But the Chargers have known struggles. They have plenty of issues. Their defense is probably the only reason that they're not 500 or worse right now. And now they've got another injury to none other than Justin Herbert, who's rocking this absolute Hulk hands oven mitt, a protective glove cast on his left hand in this past game after getting it crushed in week 13. He had surgery on Monday, successful surgery, they said, but he's listed as day-to-day. Probably going to play, I feel like, if they let him play in that game against the Raiders with an oven mitt on his hand. And now he's had surgery to fix the issue and probably will wear a similar protective cast. I would imagine he's going to play if they didn't feel the need to take him out versus the Raiders, but it was like seriously impacting his game. I mean, he went 15 for 20, 151 passing yards, somehow got 2 passing touchdowns in that mix, but just not really a good thing for the Chargers. They're up against a defense that has, for the most part, been very good this season, been a bit more exploitable against the run lately, especially last week. Obviously, it's going to skew any per game stats you look at. So keep that in mind if you're doing any research. But just a bounce back spot that the Eagles need. And now an injury to the starting quarterback of a team that's got so many injuries on the offensive line, that has had Herbert running for his life all season. Just doesn't really line up well. Effectively a must-win game for the Eagles, not because of the division or seeding really, but for morale. This team can't handle another third loss. I mean, we might see an implosion like we've never seen between the media and coaches and players and stuff if the Eagles lose 3 in a row. All within less than 2 weeks because of the shorter week they had for the previous game. But, all 3 games in which they were favored, huge too. But they're in as much of a free fall as a team with a 2-game losing streak can be, I think. Got a little bit of a mini bye here, 10 or 9 full days to rest between games, which should help, especially given that Justin Herbert's nursing an injury on not a shorter week because it's a Monday Night Football game, but those extra 2 days of rest are huge for the Eagles here. A few things in flux. With the Chargers, Omarion Hampton could be back finally. I think he's been out since week 5 or 6, but going to throw the backfield pretty much in a total disarray if he returns. Kamani Vidal has been a workhorse, but Hampton was looking very good before he went down, and going to be kind of hard to, I think, gauge how they're going to deploy that backfield. So probably not a props market I'll be looking at in this one, although they might be leaning more to the run with Herbert's hand. So just kind of a lot going on in this one from that angle. And frankly, with the scoring equity and our touchdown probabilities leaning towards the Eagles, it just seems like a really good path for them. They got 3 players over 40% to score. No one for the Chargers has over 38. So I hate to say it, it hurts me inside, but I am all Eagles in this one.
I think it's the right angle with the spot. Just a total back against the wall spot for Philly, like you laid out. I mean, coming off of 2 losses for a team with all that talent, like, you can't lose a third. You can't lose a Monday night game at home for your third here. Spot-wise, too, I mean, I would think this is like a give it your everything Philadelphia game. Not saying the Chargers aren't going to approach it that way, but I am going to say that the Chargers have a little bit of a sandwich spot here because off of a Monday night game next Sunday, they go to Arrowhead to take on Kansas City, team they have quite the history with. They beat them back in week 1, obviously. So, look, I just think it's hard. I think at this point in the season, especially for teams that are in the playoff mix or feeling like they're, on a good trajectory here, it can be hard not to look ahead. And I think the Chargers would be crazy to not be looking ahead a little bit, to maybe be the team to stick a fork in Patrick Mahomes and eliminate him from the playoffs potentially. So that's kind of what's on the table 6 days after this one. Meanwhile, you got to get through a ferocious Philadelphia team that's as talented as any, that is absolutely desperate. I love this spot. I love the Eagles -2.5 here. They have not played their best football, but man, they've still been in games. It's not like they've completely no-showed any of these games. Just some late game stuff has gone the opposite way. So I'm in. There you have it. 3 plays that I'm all over earlier in the week. Titans +4.5, Bears +6.5, Eagles -2.5. Reminder, this is just our early value. We will come back on the Thursday episode of this show to finalize our best bets for week 14. But the value of Dimers Pro is that you can check in whenever you want throughout the week to see where the value is, because the value changes as lines move, as people are placing their bets. You will see probabilities and edges flip from one side to the other. This all updates in real time, trying to help you whenever you're placing a bet, find the value in the moment. There's even been times as numbers have moved where if you get on something early with the model here, the number will move in a favorable direction and give you an opportunity to middle before the game even starts sometimes, and show probability on the other side. So can't recommend it enough. Make sure you get Dimers Pro. Do you have anything to add there, Dave, too?
I love a good middle, and that there are several other early spots that are just about the same probability, a little bit less value, that I did not put in here just for the sake of time. But Bengals, Bills, Dolphins, Jets, couple other values that I really like the numbers on, and hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about them as best bets for the model on Thursday.
Yes, sir. 50% off of Dimers Pro, so you can get all this information in real time. Use promo code podcast to make sure you act on that 50% off. Let's move next to the Fantasy Waiver Wire.
The Fantasy Waiver Wire.
Facial Tootin was all over this, Dave. You nailed that one.
Yeah, another week, another running back scoring a touchdown after being featured in the waiver wire. Thank you, Tootin. Also, Christian Watson got in. We featured him twice before. I said last week, too, if that's a guy who's still out there, pick him up. Huge touchdown, huge day, the best game of the season. Final bye week of the season. Yes, we are going back to buys after not having any in week 13. Why? I don't know, but we've got 4 of them. They're pretty relevant as well, with the Niners, Patriots, Giants, and Panthers on a bye. Pretty good mix of starting players right there. Most leagues will be in playoffs after this week, so consider some of these guys as stashes for a playoff run, even if you don't have an immediate need for them this week. Got 2 running backs we'll start off with, and then a third who you should also be looking at if he's available. However, he's on bye, so he's kind of the bonus pick. But anyway, I would consider Chris Rodriguez of the Commanders the ad of the week. He is leading this backfield with 26 carries to Krosky Merritt's 13 over the last 2 weeks. Bill Krosky Merritt has just been completely phased out of this offense. Frankly, he's droppable. It sucks to say that. If you're in a keeper league, maybe you want to hold on to him just in case things look different in this backfield next season. But he's simply doing nothing and going nowhere with the nothing he's getting. Rodriguez is commanding goal line work, 4 touches to 2 over the past few games. He's got RB3 flex status at this point. Jaden Daniels, I don't know if he's going to actually come back. It's kind of up to the Commanders to decide what they want to do. But their offense is at least looking somewhat cohesive lately. They're probably going to stick with what's working. That's Chris Rodriguez getting the touches. Projected for 10.9 PPR points, 49.2 rushing yards, and a huge 52% TD probability this week. Blake Corum, don't overlook him. He has logged at least 7 carries in his past 6 games. Not a huge number, but slowly getting a higher share of this. Almost 40% of the carries over the past 6 weeks. Rams he found the end zone this past week, actually. And it was, I believe, in relief of Kyron Williams when he was getting his ankle checked out on the sideline. So he absolutely capitalized on the opportunity. Rams are huge favorites versus the Cardinals. Could get some Corum opportunities, kind of like Tyler Algier in this one, but in a much better offense. Kyron Williams, like I said, he banged up his ankle. He did return, but Corum had his best game of the season, and the Rams are probably not going to look away from him as we get down the stretch run and want to keep guys healthy. Modest projection of 8 PPR points, but a pretty substantial 33% TD probability as he creeps up. And then I'll just add Devin Singletary. Giants are on bye this week, but Tyrone Tracy left that game with a hip injury, did not return. No idea if he'll be back after the bye, but Singletary is available. He's out there. And I mean, if Tyrone Tracy doesn't return, Devin Singletary's RB1 volume probably will look more like an RB2 fringe as far as output. But the Giants have been running the ball like crazy since they fired Dable, and he would be the RB1 if Tracy sits. Moving to wide receivers, really only got one that I haven't talked about previously that I think now is a must-add. Adonai Mitchell, only 3% rostered, broke out this past week, 8 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown, almost 200 air yards. If you don't know what air yards are, it's the distance the ball travels in the air. So basically depth of target before the ball is caught. So huge, big play potential. Looking like a wide receiver 1 in this offense with a 30% target share since joining the Jets at the deadline. Been the favorite target of Tyrod Taylor in, dare I say, a slightly transformed Jets offense with Taylor under center. 10.2 PPR points, 48 yards, just a 26% TD probability in our projections this week. But I do think you want a piece of this Jets offense down the stretch if you are in need, especially of a flex player or wide receiver 3. A couple QBs. Speaking of Tyrod Taylor, 4% rostered, finished as QB8, QB15, QB5 in his 3 starts, 40 plus rushing yards in 2 games. So, I mean, as much rushing upside as any quarterback out there right now. 1 passing touchdown or more in every start. Projected for 17.3 points this week versus the Dolphins in a game that could be tiny little bit of a shootout. We'll see. Bryce Young on bye this week, so he can't help you. But if you need a quarterback for playoffs or you just want to have a second one in the queue, it's him. 2 of his last 3 games, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaging over 25 fantasy points per game on his little stretch. He's got the Saints and the Bucks in weeks 15 and 16, which are great fantasy playoff matchups. And one little tight end here for you, Brenton Strange. He's back out on the wire after he was on IR for a bit, 33% rostered. But as soon as he came back, he slotted right in as tight end 1. 93 yards on 5 targets in week 12, 3 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown last week, running a full-time route rate, over 80% of the routes, I believe. Parker Washington just got hurt. Brian Thomas Jr. doing very little right now. Projected for 9.2 PPR points. Only a 21% TD probability, though, so just be cautious about his upside in week 13 versus the Colts. So, again, these guys keep scoring touchdowns, so if you're not a fantasy player, you might find some sneaky betting value here. I would recommend checking the best props on dimers.com and seeing if any of these guys have an edge to score. If they are, I would, 2 or 3 of these guys, you get an edge. I'm putting them in a little round robin because those 3rd, 4th, 5th options can sometimes be some really sneaky touchdown value. Almost get the type of first TD odds you're looking at on the higher probability touchdown scores. So a lot of ways to use this to your advantage beyond just fantasy. And if you're playing fantasy, don't sleep on these folks.
There you have it. Strange is a name that I've look to pick up in both of my leagues remaining here. I've had tight end issues for the entire second half of the season. One of the hardest positions to like solve, but simultaneously one of the, I don't know, you're not fretting as much if you lose your starting tight end unless you have like Brock Bowers, right? So I don't know. I feel like every year this is a problem around this time where I'm like looking for anything at the tight end position, and Strange has been surprisingly good in recent weeks. So I like that shout from you. Thank you, Dave. As always, next on the slate for today, it's time for our College Corner.
College Corner.
Putting some new flavor on the College Corner this week. We had a very successful college football run, and now it's college basketball season. Still are college football games ongoing, so if you're looking for college football best bets, we have you covered. Make sure go to dimers.com. Dimers Pro has those for conference championship week, and we'll have more as bowl season gets here. But it's a huge Tuesday night slate here as we get into December in my favorite sport of college basketball. There are plenty of great teams in action, some very high-profile games, and I am someone who likes to tend to betting the highest profile games. Luckily, our model shows value in 3 of them tonight, beginning with Michigan State -5.5 against Iowa. Now, Iowa has a new coach, Ben McCollum, who is amazing. If you don't know his story, you should Google this. Kurt Signetti style, who he gets compared to, right? McCollum came from the non-Division I ranks, jumped all the way up to Division I mid-major level for the first time last year with Drake, instantly spat out a 31-4 season, won a game in the NCAA tournament. He is just a savant type coach, and he's got his point guard Bennett Sturts with him, who started all the way at the junior college level and has now risen all the way up to being a preseason All-American. He's one of the best, most prolific point guards in the country. He's just not a big time athlete, but he's as skilled as any player you'll find in the backcourt. These are all reasons why you would find Iowa interesting. The reason you should bet Michigan State tonight is because none of the things that make Iowa interesting are going to work in the Breslin Center against a Tom Izzo team. You have a superstar point guard that needs to do everything for you. Great. Here comes Jeremy Fears, the best perimeter defender in the sport, who has held his primary matchup in 3 big games this year to like 20% shooting combined. He's elite, and he's a monster, and he takes superstars out of their games. Beyond that, Iowa's really free throw line dependent. They are second in the country in free throw rate. You just cannot go into the Breslin Center expecting to get calls. And that's not me saying Michigan State gets a beneficial whistle there. There's certainly times that it has happened, but it's a losing formula to be a team that needs to win the free throw line against Michigan State on the road. Michigan State's undefeated. They've been great in their big games. And with respect to Ben McCollum, who I do think is the Kurt Signetti of college basketball, do you remember what happened to Kurt Signetti in his big games in year 1? Usually got blitzed and failed to cover all of them. This is the first real test for Ben McCollum. First Big Ten game of his career in Tom Izzo's backyard. I'll take the Spartans by 6 or more. 2 huge games next, starting with UConn against Kansas. Now, this is like the injury-ridden bowl of college basketball's entire season this year. Kansas, Darren Peterson, the projected number 1 pick, has not played in 3 weeks. He is officially ruled out for this game. Their role players have held together better than anyone expected, me included, going 3-0 at the Players Era Festival last week. It's a little bit unsustainable for me. I think that Kansas run, if you look at the teams they beat without Darren Peterson at Players Era, 2 of them were Notre Dame and Syracuse. Those were competitive games. Notre Dame and Syracuse are both outside the top 70 nationally right now. Tennessee was the most impressive win. Kansas was down 10 most of that game to Tennessee before a furious comeback. I just think they're due to get bit. They're pretty kind of cupboard is bare on paper without Darren Peterson offensively. And UConn is a team that is finally getting healthy. They got their center, Terrace Reed, back. They got the 5-star freshman, Braylon Mullins, back for their huge win over Illinois this weekend. Illinois is a better team than Kansas. UConn won that game on a neutral floor by 13. Now, the big thing here is home court advantage, but just point blank, UConn at full strength is a top 3 team in the country. Kansas may not be a top 20 team in the country, even with Darren Peterson. Without him, you've got to take the team at full strength here. And then lastly, we've got Duke -8.5 against Florida. Now, Duke's one of the more interesting teams to discuss early in the season because the analytics want you to believe that this team's amazing. They're third on KenPom. Basically, any sort of analytics service you can find in college basketball will tell you they're a top 3 team in the sport. I buy it. I mean, they have the 5th-ranked defense and 5th-ranked offense right now. It's incredibly rare for a team to be that balanced 1 month into the season, but they're really big. They've got a superstar in Cameron Boozer who has point guard skills and the size of a center, and he's really a tough matchup for anybody. If you try to single cover him, it looks an awful lot like what he did to Arkansas this week when he had 35 points and 9 rebounds. They're going to take on Florida, the defending national champs. Florida's been having huge issues in the backcourt this year. Xavier Lee, the mid-major transfer from Princeton, just has not looked the part for these bigger games. Boogie Fland has not been as efficient as they expected. It really leaves them entirely just a monster front court. But monster front courts tend to try and cover Cameron Boozer with single coverage. That's when Cameron Boozer feasts. I think that's what's going to happen tonight. It's a really, really big number, but it's a true home game for Duke. And I think this is the night where the analytics get proven right and Duke wins by double figures. Added up, that's the final card for the College Corner this week. It is Michigan State -5.5, UConn to win outright at Kansas, and Duke -8.5 against Florida.
Good picks, Greg. I feel like if you are out there and you've been watching college basketball at all for the last 30 years, you probably don't need a lot of reasons to back Tom Izzo, UConn, and Duke, but Greg gives you plenty, and the Dimers model's got a few more. So I will be on 2 of these tonight, as I cannot bet UConn in my lovely home state, but I will be rooting for them in spirit for all the rest of you, and I will certainly be on the other 2 spreads.
You love to see it. And this is why you need to subscribe to the pod, by the way, because now that it is college hoop season, we probably will do quite a few college basketball, college corners on Tuesdays, especially Tuesdays are notoriously loaded slates in that sport. So we put these episodes out every Tuesday, every Thursday. I'll do my best to continue delivering college picks that can win week to week, but you got to act quicker on them than you did with the college football college corners. So make sure you subscribe so you get notifications every time this pod drops, and you can jump on and tail these bets alongside our model with us. All right, I think that's a good segue to turn from college hoops into some NBA hoops. It is time for the DraftKings King of the Court promo again. Every Tuesday, DraftKings runs this promo. It's one of my favorites, if not my favorite in all of sports betting right now. Bet $5 on any player prop market that you like. That could be points, threes, assists, rebounds, whatever. Use your King of the Court token on the bet. And if at the end of the night, the player leads all players that played in total points, rebounds, and assists, you and every other person who picked that player will split a $1 million bonus bet. Every week, we try and give you a few different looks at this, the favorites, and then maybe a couple of long shots. So who are we looking for tonight?
Yeah, just will add, it's been a pretty chalky run this year. Not to say we didn't capitalize on 2 long shots with Josh Giddey and Tyrese Maxey, but the chalkiness of this promo has led to us accurately having the top performer each week in our targets. So we're on to something here, even when it's not the top guy. And tonight it might get a little interesting because we do not have the notorious top guys in play. Luka Doncic, who's a 3-time winner this season, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis, who all project for nightly 50 PRA floors. None of them are in play tonight, opening this up pretty nicely for some guys here. So our top 3, as a result, are all projected within 1.5 PRA of each other, leading with Tyrese Maxey of the Sixers, projected for 41.9 PRA. Come on, weakest matchup in the league. Wizards are 30th, dead last in points and rebounds allowed, 29th in assists. Maxey previously dropped 52 PRA against Washington earlier this season. He's a strong double-double candidate tonight, with us projecting him for 7.5 assists. And he's got 2 39-point games, 44 points in his last game, and a 54-point game earlier this month. As much ceiling for scoring as any player in the NBA. Gets a dream matchup tonight. Blowout would probably be the only thing keeping him out of a 50 PRA performance here. SGA's next, projected for 41.1. You can't really go wrong with Shea. consistently projects for 40 plus PRA in our projections. He's got elite scoring upside, only 3 games under 30 points in all of November. However, he does have, I think a lower PRA ceiling. He's not a huge rebounds and assists guy. He can stack them up a little bit, usually seeing a peak of around 7 or 8 in each of those, though. Doesn't really put up double numbers, which is kind of what you need to really stuff these sheets and be the king of the court. But so yeah, likely needs a 35 plus point game to be competitive in this tonight. Warriors are not a pushover. They held him to 28 points in their first meeting, which kept him well out of range in if that had been a king of the court night. Third here, Anthony Edwards of the Timberwolves, projected for 40.3 PRA. This is his first time featured in this promo for us. He's on an insane scoring streak right now, 30 plus point games in a row, 2 of them with 40 or more. Strong matchup versus the Pelicans defense, which is not quite as bad as the Wizards, but fairly bottom tier. He'll need to go over his usual rebound and assist numbers, as he's not exactly a double-double machine. I don't believe he has one this year, but high scoring, which he's been doing a lot lately, should put him in contention at least throughout the this game until the later slate gets underway. Dipping into our long shots, looking at Denny of DJ here of the Trailblazers, projected for 39.2 PRA. He's 5th overall, but as I said, without the top projected 50-point ceiling for guys, you have him just outside this top 5 or top 4 as well. He's got 2 triple-doubles, 4 double-doubles this season. He's kind of an underrated pick despite having a pretty high projection from the model nightly. Recently posted 60 PRA versus the Thunder's defense in his last game. Thunder defense is like the best in the league and didn't slow him down. He'll need a bit of a spike, as the Raptors defense is pretty good as far as scoring, but very middle of the league in terms of rebounds. So if he gets a couple extra boards tonight, has a good scoring night, he could find himself down the stretch. And finally, Julius Randle. We're going to go back to the Pelicans matchup. Second highest projection in this game, behind only Anthony Edwards. So he's got plenty of upside, especially with a very soft defensive opponent. 5 30-plus point games this year, 2 triple-doubles this year. He's capable of hitting 50 PRA when his scoring and rebounding align. If you're looking for a long shot in a very good matchup, it would be Randle tonight, projected for 34.2 PRA, 11th overall, just outside our top 10.
I love it.
Yep.
It's fun when these nights happen. I think I said this last week too, when Nikola Jokic is not involved. It makes it a lot more appetizing to me to try and sort through these various players when the cheat code, as I call him, is not here. But makes sense to see those 3 at the top. But even as you see, not much of a difference in projection from Maxey to Anthony Edwards. So it's kind of choosing your flavor of the month. Julius Randle's always been a favorite of mine, even going back to his college days, his one and done year at Kentucky. I was on record roughly around 2014 saying he would be a better Kevin Garnett. That never fully came to fruition. Maybe if he can win the Dimers Target Picks King of the Court DraftKings promo for me, I can officially get him off the schneid for that for me.
I think that would put him up there, right there with KG. And as we know, anything is possible.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate you sorting through all of that for us as well. One of the other plentiful things that sports bettors can look forward to on Tuesday nights. Golf is up next. It's back. We've got the Hero World Challenge. Can you give us a preview, please?
Yep, golf is back and then gone again after this week. So get in your fix, folks, because unless you're betting the international stuff, we are off the books with golf until 2026, which I believe will open with the Century, maybe the Sony Open in Hawaii or California. I don't know. It's on the West Coast swing. I think it's Hawaii. Anyway, we'll get there. Why does my banner keep going away? Stay up there, anyway, plenty of the game's best are back here. We're going to the Bahamas for the Hero World Challenge. This is a Tiger Woods hosted event, just a 20-player field, very unique layout. Scotty Scheffler is looking to become the first golfer in tournament history to win 3 in a row. He returns to competition this season for the first time since the Ryder Cup. So he's been off for almost 3 months now. But he was dominant as always this season, 6 wins, 2 majors, wire to wire as the top ranked player this year. His last 4 outings here, second place, first place, and first place. So, of course, he is a short favorite in a 20-man field, high probability winner at 44.7%. I'm just going to pull up the predictions now as we go through this. Pretty much the highest we've ever seen for a winner, even when Scotty is playing against weak fields. There's like only 19 other golfers here, so not as even the talented guys like Scotty aren't going to struggle, for example, with a field like this. So highly unlikely someone else wins, but we're going to try and figure out if somebody will and who should bet on besides them. This course is the home for this event for the 10th year in a row. Pretty long one, par 72, just under 7,500 yards. Kind of an interesting layout, 5 par 3s and 5 par 5s, but 3 of each of those come on the front 9. So you got 3 par 5 birdie or eagle opportunities very early on in the course. So some interesting early swings, perhaps. Of course, wind's a factor on these island courses, which we've been dealing with for a couple of the recent events over here in the fall, as they navigate to where the weather is warmer and actually applicable for some golf. Guys who are accurate off the tee and have good irons will probably be the key to short scores. Putting is unsurprisingly also important here. Before we get into a couple winners to look at, I will just strongly recommend that you look at the winner without Scotty Scheffler market. You will lose some value. The odds won't be quite as good, but it probably won't be that bad. And it's better than simply losing your bet because Scotty is that good. We do have value on him at plus 155, 44.7%. Should be about plus 130 according to the model. Not a huge value, but it is some value. Not a bad 1 unit bet as far as an outright win. Not going to see a lot of golfer outrights that you recommend a 1 unit bet on, but Scotty Scheffler at plus 155 might be one of them. Anyway, not a ton of value given the field is small. Obviously, Scotty's eating up almost 50% of this win probability. So there's only 55% probability to go around between the other 19 guys. So value is not everywhere, but there's a little bit. And we'll start by looking at JJ Spawn here, our second highest overall, 6% probability, plus 1,600 odds. Most likely winner besides Scotty, on a tiny little heater since he missed the cut at the Scottish Open back in July. Finished T25 or better every time since. Has a playoff runner-up and a solo 6th in that span. 7th overall in strokes gained this year. Only a little above average in putting, but he's top 5 on approach. This is right about a fair price. I believe our fair odds at 6% would be like plus 1,580. So no big edge, but fair odds. Next, our 4th most likely winner, Sam Burns, 5.3%, plus 1,700 on FanDuel. Quietly one of the better golfers this year. Finished the year T4 and T7, then T13 at his only FedEx Cup fall event. He's below average on approach, so needs a little bit of work on his irons and short game, but he's just under average on around the green, and he's the #1 putter on tour. That's been enough to propel him to the 11th overall ranking in strokes gained, and he's got really good distance off the tee, though he's not the most accurate. But if you could, there's not a lot of rough on this course, lots of sand areas around, but not a lot of rough. So if you could just keep it on the fairway, get himself some decently short putts. He's like ridiculously good at putts under 10 feet as well. So putting should carry him to contention here. Top 5 is probably at the very least in play. Curious what he is for a top 5. Plus 180, 32%. Just about fair odds there as well. One more winner. Corey Connors, 3.3% here, plus 3,000. He is the absolute best value as far as just an edge is concerned. And I would even recommend a little ladder play on the Canadian here. He's at even money to finish top 10, plus 100, but at 52.6%. If you're looking at this, watching this podcast, or looking at our predictions, you'll see he is the only guy in the top was this 10 or 12 projected golfers with plus money odds to finish top 10. There's only 20 guys in this field, so finishing top 10 isn't that difficult. Getting plus money on him to do so is a really good value here. 7 top 10s this year, obviously bigger fields. Finished the season with a T3 at the Tour Championship, but notably a small field, only 30 guys in that event. He ranks 23rd for off the tee accuracy, 39th on approach, 67th on putting. Nothing spectacular, but all good to very good metrics. And just can't really ignore the value on him at top 10. Top 5 here, plus 350 at 25%. Should only be 300 according to the model. And I should have calculated the fair odds for this, but 3.3% plus 3. I want to say that's about plus 1,900, plus 2,100 or so, 3.3%. So really good odds here. Almost 10 to 1 worth of value, on a flat unit rate for that. So, ladder play up, Corey Connors. And I don't know. This is without really guidance from the model, but such a short field. I'll probably throw a dart or two on Wyndham Clark and Andrew Novak because their odds are the longest. And with only 20 guys in play, anybody can win, as they always can. But, plus 5,000 on a guy in a 20-man field could do a lot worse than that.
You say Corey Connors ladder? I say,
Yes.
Let's do it. That's all I do. Every time you hit me with Corey Connors ladder, I'm like, let's do this. I'm fascinated. Just such a small field with Scotty. Even JJ Spawn, the second most probable. It's not even like there's the other top 20 golfers in the world here, right? So it's a rare opportunity to see the rare time on the schedule too, right? We have no idea if Sky's going to be rusty or where his head is at for an event like this, but I'm doing like backflips looking at that 44% probability. Like I've never seen anything like that for one golfer to win an event on tour. It's insane.
Yeah, and it's not just us. His odds are 155. The books know that it's Scotty and everybody else.
Right. And there's a great chance we get like midway through Friday and I'm just like, damn, I can't believe I didn't bet that pre-tournament.
And frankly, I'll say that's why you probably shouldn't bet it. Like, unless you really, really want to bet on Scotty Scheffler here, go ahead. Don't let me stop you. But if he starts off even a little slow, someone gets off to even a little bit of a better start, you'll get him plus 200, 250, plus 300. You might have a boost. They might be giving out a live boost, and that's just a much better price. Scotty needs one round to come out of nowhere. So,
yeah, it's a good discussion on how to bet golf and find profits. It's not always the pre-tournament bets you need to place. Sometimes you can find great long shot value there, but sometimes it's about jumping on the best golfers in the field at the right time. So, all right, thank you for that. Appreciate it very much. It's time to close the show, but first, let's talk about what else is on Dimers this week.
What's on Dimers this week?
It's a big week in college football, conference championship matchups galore, but value and predictions, best bets are up on the site now.
Yep. Games don't start till Friday, but that just gives you 3 days to dive in, find some early value, maybe catch a middle. Futures projections are up. I think we're pretty aligned with the current top 4 rankings and on the books, but there's a little bit of interesting stuff there once you get right outside the top 4. Especially when we get the final rankings out and the buys are settled, you might be able to sneak some extra value on a team that gets a buy. You never know. Those will be out on the 7th, I believe, the final CFP ranking. So you got some time here. Of course, we got daily NBA, NHL, college hoops all week long. But one thing I really want to point out is, not that we do the show live, so you can't miss it, but on Thursday, we are going to do a little DimeBot assistant demo. Latest feature that we've added to the site. I believe we mentioned it last week. Just a little cool, awesome chatbot we've been working on that can find bets for you, return value for you, cross-reference props with trends on site. It's implemented all the way across the site. You'll see a little icon. You'll see it hovering over a bet on best bets. You can click on that and it'll pop up the chat and give you a whole bunch of info on that game as well, and anything that you request that the bot can fetch for you on the site. Really awesome feature that we are looking forward to expanding on the site and the soon to be in existence Dimers app. But for now, you can dig into it with Dimers Pro on site. And like I said, we'll do a little demo with it on Thursday. when we do our deep dive into week 14 of the NFL.
The Dimers app launch is going to be a historic day in sports betting. I can't wait for that. Also, can I personally request, can we do a college football segment on the Thursday episode of this show?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. I'm going to double dip on College Corner this week. We'll do a little college championship week preview and maybe even a futures touch base on that. So there you have it. Little teaser for Thursday, folks. All right, Dave, thank you very much for putting all this together. We appreciate it. I always have fun doing this show with you. Thank you to our listeners. We will be back again on Thursday. Make sure you like, subscribe, and do everything else that you can to support the show. Let us know if you enjoyed it. We will be back Thursday. In the meantime, good luck on your bets. Bet responsibly. We'll see you again Thursday.